One of the main reasons I go to these MAGA rallies is because I think that it's important to have liberal representation in spaces that are usually echo chambers. So not all of these MAGA rally goers are inherently bad people. They just need to be introduced to fact patterns they otherwise wouldn't hear on Fox News or RSBN. A while back, I talked to this MAGA supporter who needed healthcare for her son. Her son was autistic and she needed healthcare, but she wouldn't vote for Democrats because she thought they were evil. Now, this mom isn't an inherently bad person. She just needs to interact with people who think differently than her. She's voting against her own self-interest. So again, I think it's important for MAGA supporters to meet liberals that aren't screaming, that aren't going around yelling stuff because they think all liberals are blue-haired maniacs. I just go there, I talk to them like a normal human being, and I listen to them. But not all MAGA supporters are okay stepping out of their echo chamber. We've seen that with Mike Lindell. We saw it the other day with Brian Glenn and Forgiato Blow. They all tried to attack me, and I have more MAGA sycophants attacking me now on Truth Social. Roger Stone, one of Trump's major allies, posted my video, called me the R-word. He said, R-word post, nothing burger, and desperate bid for clicks. And this isn't my first run-in with Roger Stone. He called me out after I interviewed his nephew, and his nephew didn't know the definition of communism. Watch this clip. Do you trust Mike Pence at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
I don't trust Mike Pence, period.
Let me ask you, do you trust Bill Barr at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
No.
Do you trust Mark Meadows at all when he says the election wasn't stolen?
No.
You don't trust the 60 courts that Trump brought evidence to?
No.
So it makes me worry when every single court, every single institution, every single person in America that's not Donald Trump or Mike Lindell are lying to you. And I'm going to go back to my point. When you weigh the credibility of these people, do I believe every single institution, which sure, they're flawed, or do I trust Mike Lindell? Probably the institutions that are upholding our democracy, right?
I would say that the institutions that are upholding our democracy aren't upholding our democracy.
Expand on that.
What we see is a rise of communism all over the United States. And so if you go and look at what the Frankfurt School in Frankfurt had, they have 11 main points that they want to be involved in every single facet of society.
What's the definition of communism in your eyes?
I don't have the definition of communism all over. I have the points, what these things look like. I don't have the definition.
So while a lot of the MAGA supporters are receptive, there are clips out there of me changing their minds, of me talking to them like normal human beings, a lot of them do have trouble stepping out of their echo chamber. Again, Brian Glenn got incredibly pissed off after I asked him maybe 2 or 3 questions about Trump's convictions. He tried to run away from the interview saying this interview's over, it's over, just because I asked him simple questions. The MAGA ideology cannot withstand even the most simple questions from a 21-year-old student. After I interviewed Mike Lindell, Jack Posobiec, a popular right-winger, said, breaking, Mike Lindell just lit up this MeidasToucher libtard. Libtard is his words, not mine. It's another case of them stepping out of their echo chamber and immediately realizing that the entire world doesn't like people like Mike Lindell or Rudy Giuliani. In fact, we think that they are psychopaths. Another Republican replied to Jack Posobiec on Twitter and said, useful idiots like this gullible, naive YouTuber are so brainwashed by Marxist propaganda and authority figure worship that is rich. You know this person worships Donald Trump. Who do I worship? They think trying to secure elections with paper ballots is working for Russia. It's pathetic and sad to think he has viewers who agree with his BS ideology. First of all, you guys aren't sad. I love you guys. But secondly, I don't think that it's Russian propaganda that Mike Lindell's spreading because he wants paper ballots. I think the Russian propaganda piece is this consistent undermining of our elections integrity, all of our institutions, and holding up Donald Trump as this authority figure that you worship. I'm gonna flip his words right back at him, but the reason that Mike Lindell plays into the hands of Vladimir Putin is because he is constantly undermining the integrity of our elections. He's constantly making sure that American citizens are disillusioned with their own institutions. He makes up claims of widespread, unprecedented election fraud, then doubles down on those claims even after they're proven wrong. Vladimir Putin only benefits when extremism is pushed throughout America, when disinformation is fed to American citizens so they start to be disillusioned with their own leaders and their own institutions. I'm not surprised that my point went over the head of some random Mike Lindell fan, but I did try to challenge Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, Brian Glenn, to another debate, and he would not accept it. Again, he does not want to step out of his echo chamber. So I sent out a tweet yesterday of the interaction. I said, I debated Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, Brian Brian Glenn about Trump's convictions. Halfway through, washed up MAGA rapper Forgiato Blow gets in my face and tries to intimidate me. And that first tweet went quite viral. It was an explosive interaction with some MAGA celebrities, so I quote tweeted it and said, somehow, at Brian Glenn can't handle being challenged by a 21-year-old college student. If you're confident in your positions, Brian, why don't you come on my show this week to defend them? And I know for a fact that Brian Glenn saw this tweet because he's been on Twitter multiple times since I sent it, and he's gotten hundreds to even maybe thousands of ats and replies and retweets on my tweet. I know for a fact that he saw it, but again, he does not want to step out of his echo chamber. He's too comfortable. He knows that he can't debate, and he knows that when he comes into contact with a liberal who even slightly knows the facts of the case, that he's in over his head. Republicans like to target these college-aged liberals who make themselves look crazy because they're still figuring things out and act like that's the average liberal. So again, something I like to do is show up to these rallies and be like, hey, I'm more like the average liberal in America. I represent a lot of people's views. You can target these pink-haired college liberals who are figuring things out, but if you want to go one-on-one with me, then we can do it. And of course, they don't want to. Anytime you bring fact patterns to a MAGA influencer, they have to retreat into their shell because they know that they will lose audience members if either they lose the debate to you or if they concede any points to you. We also got some media coverage. Newsweek picked up the story and said Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, Brian Glenn, a conservative media personality, was filmed getting into a heated clash with Adam Mockler, a MeidasTouch reporter and critic of former President Donald Trump, on Saturday. Mockler posted a video to X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday of him debating Glenn, who previously served as the director of programming for RSBN before his current position as a national campaign correspondent for Real America's Voice on the streets of Philadelphia on Saturday. Mockler was there to cover a Trump rally. When Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts, what did you think about that? I asked Glenn in the video. Trump and his allies claimed the trial was a sham and that the case is politically motivated. Glenn called it a worthless case to Mockler, who then asked, why is it worthless? It's worthless because there's no crime that was committed, Glenn said, to which Mockler retorted, falsifying business records with the intent of covering up another crime. Glenn interrupted, that's what they said. That's what you say. Mockler responded, I responded, that's what the jury said. The jury handpicked by Donald Trump's lawyers. This is when Glenn begins to snap in the same exact way that Mike Lindell did. He said, I know what you're all about right now. You're not an independent journalist. You're nothing but a Trump hater. And it's weird because that mirrors the exact same rhetoric that Mike Lindell used towards me. Mike Lindell said verbatim, you're not an independent journalist. I know what you're about. Then Mike Lindell turned to the crowd and tried to rile them up by saying, this guy works for Dominion. Brian Glenn did the same thing. He turned to me and said, who else thinks these indictments are a sham? He used the word indictments, even though they're convictions now. He's still coping. But it's just weird how all of these MAGA influencers crack under the slightest bit of pressure from just a college student who reads articles on a daily basis. That's all it takes. Either way, if you guys enjoy this video, if you enjoy what I do, please leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button, and have a great day.